All right, welcome those who follow also on the YouTube channel. We welcome you to our last session of Genesis, basically. Mark, Ronnie, good to see you. Mark, just send me a signal that you can hear properly. That would be well appreciated. Same for Vicky.
I'm here.
Beautiful, thank you, Mark. Just to make sure that everybody's connected properly. Vicky, good to see you. We have Carl also joining us. Kenneth won't be there tonight. He's having a celebration of some kind. Carl, good to see you. Where are you, Carl? Can you hear me there, bro? Carl, can you just give me a signal that you receive? Okay, good. Good. I can see that you can hear me now because I see your face. Everything. Thank you. Beautiful. So you're welcome. That's about the group. I think I'm going to keep my eyes on the right side of the screen just to welcome those who will come later if they come. Tonight, this will be our last session of the year because if you look at your outline on page 7 right now, which is right in front of me, we will be able to finish capital L today, the curse of Canaan. We started last week. We finished this. We do capital M, which is not too long. And then in 2026, you can note the date if you want. I have the date already, which will be Tuesday, January the 6th. Tuesday, January the 6th, we'll carry on with our program. And we will be in the Toldot of the sons of Noah. What became of the sons of Noah. Don't want to miss that. We're going to have a few charts to look at. The table of the nations, what they produce, basically, potentially, based upon what we know, the kind of people, Spain, and so on and so forth. It's going to be kind of nice to learn these things together. Get into the Tower of Babel. It's Babel in English, but the B is a B sound, so you can say Babel, confusion in Hebrew. So we will look at all these things and so on. So last session is tonight. Last session, we do our last session of Genesis, and we meet next week in January the 6th. We carry on with our study, and you can always invite people and so on. Why don't we take a silent time just to soothe in our souls, and we carry on, and we turn in Genesis chapter 9, verse 20 to 27. Gracious Father of lights, only in you we can see light. The study of your word is precious unto you, and it's also precious unto us. And we thank you that we can study this without persecution, making a wise usage of technology. We all have it. We all have it. At the beginning I was a bit complaining about that, Father. But technology can be used wisely, and that's what we strive to do together. We cannot comprehend what we study unless it's divinely revealed by the abiding Holy Spirit in us. So my request to you is to make our hearts ready to receive and to respond accordingly to its standard and demand, and that we may examine what we can imitate throughout the history of Genesis. We give you thanks in advance because Bible study cannot fail. We will learn something. We will be in awe at something. It cannot fail. And for that reason we give you thanks. In Jesus' name. Amen. Just by means of review right now, slowly, capital S, the curse of Canaan, chapter 9, verses 20 to 27. Just rapidly like this, Noah had a new occupation. He was a man of the soil. There was nothing wrong, no sin by planting a vine. This is a blessing based upon Psalm 104 verse 15. He drank the wine, and the sin lies in becoming drunk. Okay, he was righteous. He was a righteous man. Like anybody else, he did mistake, and he basically enjoyed the fruit of the vine, liked it a bit too much, and find it fun. did not know how to stop properly, so he went to bed. He got hot in the body. When we are intoxicated, that's what it does. Uncover himself and so on. And we have seen that drunkenness at times is associated with nakedness and so on. Got naked. And in verse 22, where it says Ham, the father of Cain, we see that twice. And we not discuss, but I thought something difficult, that sometimes the behavior is passed down. So that's why the curse of Canaan. Basically, like it says in verse 22, Ham is the father of Cain and so on. He saw the nakedness, looked upon it with glee, not necessarily in sexual immorality. The text doesn't talk about touching and so on. But now, basically, the filial piety, fatherhood, father-son, something was not right, violated inside. You're welcome, Raphael. You just start right now. So Genesis chapter 9, dare you. Genesis chapter 9, verses 20 to 27. And on your outline, if you still have your outline, page 7, we finish a portion on the top, capital L, the curse of Canaan. Basically, he gazed with glee when he saw the nakedness, and the moral rectitude of the father was now destroyed. The two other sons, they walked backward, Shem and Japheth, without a sound. There is no discussion between the three, so it was a visual, basically, display of what Ham should have done also. No word was spoken, like I said, but to make the point, what the two did, walking backward with the cloak that was on the floor and so on, they covered the nakedness of their father, and it was the proper thing to do. If you look at verse 24, since it's only review right now, when Noah awoke from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done. Okay? How we know exactly? Probably by conscience, because when you sober up, you probably kind of imagine that something wrong did happen. It does happen to us and so on. And the youngest, which means basically the younger, the middle son, here, it's the middle son, Ham. Basically, he asked him, what have you done? In verse 24c, this is exactly where we left. When Noah awoke from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done. Circle right now, that had done to him. The had done, as we will see in a moment of time, it does imply a very negative act. It sounds like, what have you done here? And that's the expression, that's what it conveys. Basically, it's what have you done, and it's looking upon the nakedness here. And we will see that in a moment. It's going to reflect back in the passage that we look. In verses 25 to 27, which I will read in a moment of time, it does introduce both the curse and the blessing, beginning with the curse of Cain. This is important, so I slow down and read the text without comment and come back to it. Place your finger, chapter 9, verse 25. So he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brothers. He also said, blessed be Jehovah, the God of Shem, let Canaan be his servant, and may God enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in the tent of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. 25 to 27. Going back to verse 25, that's the introduction of the curse and the blessing, and the passage starts with the curse of Canaan. Verse 25a, so he said, circle, so he said, so Noah said. This is the only words of Noah recorded in Genesis. This is the first time that Noah speaks. This is the only word recorded of Noah in the book of Genesis, despite the fact that he has quite a long story. 25b, 25a, so he said, it's Noah speaking, curse be Canaan. Circle that, curse be Canaan. The curse on Ham, it says the fourth son of Canaan. The curse of Ham is on the fourth son, son number 4 of Canaan. The curse of Ham. Yeah, this is this is the father of Canaan. This is the fourth son of Ham, not Canaan. Ham is included because his name is missing. Ham is included there because his name is missing in the whole account of the three sons under the blessing. So under the blessing, in other words, his name will not be there. The name of Ham will not be there at that place. What happened here in verse 25? So he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the fourth son of Ham. A servant of servants he shall be to his brothers." Circle a servant of servants. And here, before I develop the servant of servants, here Canaan is focused on because Canaan developed Ham's characteristics. We discussed that last week. Canaan is developing Ham's characteristics, and Ham did not do good in the nakedness of Noah. Okay? I will explain later. This is what Sylvie asked here, basically to say that the characteristics of Ham is found in Canaan is correct, and it's a sinful one. That's why in the Bible we have talks about the immorality of the Canaanites. I'm giving you scriptures that you will check for yourself. The scriptures that I'm giving you right now is the Canaan's nature of immorality. Genesis chapter 15 verse 16. Genesis chapter 15 verse 16. Genesis chapter 18 verses 20 to 21. Genesis chapter 18 verses 20 to 21, as well as Genesis chapter 19 verses 4 to 10. You will see the development of the Canaanites people. And finally, Leviticus chapter 18, Leviticus chapter 18 verses 1, 2, and 3. And the principle involved here in the cursing of Canaan rather than Ham is threefold. The principle involved in the cursing of Canaan rather than cursing Ham is threefold. I repeat, the principle involved passed down from generation, we will see that. The principle involved in the cursing of Canaan rather than Ham is threefold. Number one, later on, it will be based on that later on, not right after Genesis. The sin of the fathers is visited upon the children. So that's what happened here. It's going to be confirmed in the future, in the next book, the book of Exodus. The sin of the fathers is visited upon the children for some generations. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5, and Exodus chapter 34, verses 6 and 7. That's the first principle. That's what we look at here, the principle. The second principle, one reaps what he sows. So Ham misbehaved here, should not, and it goes basically to subsequent generation here. Only on Canaan though. One reaps what he sows. Ham sinned as a son of Noah. By that principle, he was punished. Ham was punished in his son. I repeat this. Makes sense now. It becomes more clearer right now. Number one, the sin of the father is visited upon the children. It's a possibility and is there. Number two, one reaps what he sows. He should have walked backward, covered properly without having a look to see. So Ham sinned as a son of who, Francois? Noah. And by that principle that we develop right now, he was punished in his son. Basically, there was a reflection of the Hamites and Canaan being under the curse. Number three, finally, concerning this principle, the grace of God is seen here in that only one son is cursed instead of the three. So God is always gracious. When you see a cursing, you need to decipher in the text to find the blessing also. Because there is no one righteous, so there is Shem, and Japheth that will be blessed to an extent here. So just keep that in mind. We have the destruction by means of the flood, but Genesis chapter 8 verse 8, I think, the 8 verse 1, but God remembered Noah. And this is, if you preach upon grace, you can use this biblical example. There is always justice found with God, but when He is justice and brings something bad, a calamity upon mankind, He's still gracious. And the opposite is true. When He is gracious here, lots of grace displayed, don't mess around with the grace, because He is still justice. And He never changes. So that's the same today. Because we are under the end of grace right now, the end of the dispensation of grace, the Great Tribulation are around the corner. It's not an excuse to become a gong show in our churches today because we are under grace and we don't see punishment right now. We still have to be simply aware of these things. At the beginning of a dispensation, at the beginning of it, God is always a little bit more severe than towards the end of it. But it's never an excuse to become slack in our faith and in our way to obey God. Make a note of that if you want. This is not in my note. This is the nature of dispensationalism at the end of the age of grace, which we are now. And the Great Tribulation will be included in the age of grace. It is prophesied that the church will go down. This is the period of apostasy. We can do church plant. You can do church plant. It's biblical, but don't do an apostate church plant, where you do the things that you want to do and choose your theology by yourself instead of abiding in the Word. These are examples of these things in the book of Genesis, a book that is basically foundational. The sin of Ham, we carry on in the topic right now, were embodied in Canaan. And the Canaanites, they acted as their ancestor. This is a nice clue right now. The sin of Ham is embodied in Canaan. And with history, we will see that a bit later, not in details. The Canaanites, they acted, they were faithful in carrying on with their ancestors, so that God wiped them out. Verse 26a, He also said, Blessed be Jehovah. The He also said is the beginning of the sentence, it's capital H, but this is Noah speaking. He also said, Blessed be the Lord, capitalized, that's why I use the word Jehovah, the God of Shem here. Blessed be Jehovah, the God of Shem. The blessing is on the God of Shem, not of Shem himself, although he will be blessed also. But the blessing is on the God of Shem. There is only one God, and Shem is the seed son, so the God of Shem is the God that we worship right now. In that Shem will uniquely possess the knowledge of God. Shem will be quite unique, and he will possess the knowledge of God to him. Why? Why? Because he will produce Ever, Evrit, the word Hebrews. And the Hebrews people, based upon Romans, were entrusted with the oracles of God. So the Jews throughout history, starting from Ever, which basically will give the Hebrew people, the Jews, they will be entrusted with the oracles of God. That doesn't make them better. That makes them more responsible, more accountable. It's a beauty. They will have a unique knowledge of God. They will have a unique knowledge of God. They will have the law on top of this. And all the authors of the Bible are Jewish. To them was entrusted the oracles of God, which we have in our possession as Gentiles. But who is the chosen nation? What's the nationality in the humanity of Christ Jesus? If he has a passport, what kind of a passport was he carrying on himself? And we're not bold enough to have a menorah, a simple menorah, that tall, 6 inches tall. But you have Christmas trees, those in your churches, which is, for me, unacceptable. We respect tradition. And secondly, we respect the word. But the word doesn't come on top. Nowhere in the scriptures it said have a menorah. But there is somewhere in the scriptures where it says that the church One purpose of the Gentile salvation during the church age, if I'm not mistaken, it's in Romans 11, is to provoke the Jews to jealousy. And if you take a Jew people that is Orthodox Judaism and you invite that person to your church and he saw the Christmas tree and everything, he will not go back. That's paganism. Really, should I stop? Of course. Back to 25b, a servant of servants, he shall be. Circle that as well. Go back to 25b. A servant of servants here. Here, this is what we call here a superlative. Superlative basically in grammar. It's a superlative genitive. It means the most miserable of the servant. And that type of phrase of construction in the English, it's a superlative. The servant of servant, it's going down here. I'm going to give you just a flash of history here. Note of history regarding the curse of Canaan, and by inference, Ham also. The Romans, the Roman people, all of whom were of Japheth, the Roman destruction of Carthage brought the Canaanites' history to an end in 146 BC. The Canaanites were no longer existing. Okay? Just to show you this, because the Romans basically, destruction of Carthage, when they destroyed Carthage, a city in Rome here, it brought the Canaanite to an end. So it's very significant, the principle of cursing. Sorry to go faster. Verse 27. May God enlarge Japheth, circle enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell, circle dwell, in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant here. May God enlarge Japheth is the blessing. What does it mean? To be the largest number of descendants. Japheth will have the widest number, quantity of descendants, enlarging him, including both the inhabitants of Asia. How many people do you have in Asia? The Asian people, they come from Japheth. Billions of people. And Europe also. We will see that in the Tablets of the Nation, chapter 10, at the beginning of the new year. Verse 27b, let him dwell in the tents of Shem. Dwell, in the Hebrew word right there, it's a friendly sharing. So the blessing basically of Shem, friendly sharing. The Japhethites would conquer the Jews physically. They would conquer the Jews physically, and the Jews would conquer the Japhethites spiritually. And the Japhethites, more than the Hamites, adopted the God of Shem. So the Japhethites, more than the Hamites, although some were chosen among the Hamites, they followed the God of Shem. And today, we Gentiles follow the God of Shem. I know it's complicated to explain, but we follow the God of Shem. Why? Because Shem is the seed son, and Shem will produce the Hebrew, the Jews. How do we say Hebrew in Hebrew? Ivrit. And it comes from Ever. That's the seed line. Until the Messiah. And all the Jews that are born that you know in cities like Sort in North Carolina, the New York City in the vicinity. You have full of Hasidim there. What a place to live in that place or to do evangelism. One day I would like to do a course with you. We call it Messianic Christology. I think I said it. Just listen closely because it's going to be a shorter session tonight, quite shorter. Do you know what is Messianic Christology? Messianic Christology, it's to take the Jewish canon, the 39 books of the Old Testament called the Tanakh, basically the law, the prophets, and the writings. If you try to evangelize a Jew which has some kind of Orthodox background, and you say, come with me in John, they will not look at the Bible nor touch it. because they will defile by looking at the New Testament. So if you say, look at Matthew, look at this passage, no, they're not going to read it. Messianic Christology, it's to share the gospel, meaning the death of the Messiah, the burial in the Messiah, and the resurrection of the Messiah without once touching the New Testament. So once you know your Messianic Christology with 30-some passages here, you can evangelize the Jews from A to Z with the purity of the gospel, the death of the Messiah, the burial to prove the death, and the resurrection of the third day. You can evangelize them with their scriptures that they will read. Fantastic. For an evangelist that would somewhat master Messianic Christology, go walk downtown New York, have fun, give tracts, only with this. And if you can get the attention of an Orthodox Jew and evangelize the person with their scriptures, it's God's decision if he will turn to the Messiah. But let me tell you something, he will listen to you and remember everything that you have said because they know the Torah by heart. You can make the 3 points of the gospel. Forget John. Of course you won't forget John. For them, you need to forget John. And don't use the word church. You say, I belong to a congregation. Because they suffered so much under the church, they cannot tolerate that word. Love them. If you go to Israel, they're harsh. They don't make eye contact. They suffered so much. I'm gonna aim to do that. I don't know if I will do this. I have so many things that I would like to do, so I don't know where to continue. Talk to your pastor about it. Let's do a class for 5 weeks on Messianic Christology. Put a class together. I will do it. Online. I'm not booked here on the East Coast. Help me out. Innovate. We have 5 people interested, François. Do you have a slot? Yes, I have a slot. I will create a slot. But no one responds to that. Now I do with this, I don't remember where I was. Let him dwell and so on. In times, some circle, listen to that, taught that the curse of Cain was upon the black race. You understand this? Specifically the history of the United States. They use the Bible. They say that the curse of Cain, because that's the curse on the black race here. And this is not true to the text at all. What is true though is that black people are descendants of Ham, yet not all descend from Ham directly. Some were black skin and olive skin as well. And only one of Ham's son was cursed, and it was Canaan, not the rest of it. So what we know from Egyptians' hieroglyphics, the design of the Egyptian people, the pictures and the hieroglyphs, we have in Egypt portrayal of the Canaanite people, and they were not black skin. They were white or olive skin, a little bit kind of darker type of thing. So black skin that you have in your surrounding, lots of here on Ontario too, has nothing to do with this curse. And this curse on Canaan led basically in the history of North America to the enslavement of the black people centuries ago. And it's not biblical to do so. Just know that they say that the black people are descendants of Canaan and that the curse is on them. No, thank you. That doesn't work this way. It's not biblical. Not easy to teach also. Capital M, the death of Noah. 2 verses to look at, and then we open up, pray, and we go home until the next phase of it. Capital M, the death of Noah. With this, the told out finishes. Make an exercise with me. Go to the previous page on your outline, page 6. So that we may understand what we do. Go to page 6. Look at my thumb right here. Roman numeral 5, the toldot of Noah. The toledot or toldot. You can use both words, toledot. the OTH, or toldot in English. It means what become of Noah. And what become of Noah now finishes with the death of Noah. A toldot always work forward, never backward. It's what became of. So is the toldot. Okay? So from 5, we studied all this. So we have another toldot behind us with the death of Noah. We read, we comment accordingly. Noah's death, 9:28. Noah lived 350 years after the flood. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. I want you to circle the 350 years after the flood. So after the flood, Noah lived 350 years for a total of 950 years, and that will decrease as we study the toldot with everything. So now we are at the end of what became of Noah. The next one will be what became of the sons of Noah, and this will prove to be very interesting as well. I would like to give you, concerning that full toldot, what became of Noah, 4 quotations and applications. 4 things that I have to say here. They are not that long, so just bear with me. I will repeat everything twice. Some are more difficult to others. So Father, guide me and bless the people in front of me also. If you go to Matthew 24, I'm going to carry on making your notes because I will explain. I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 24. You see, I'm touching the New Testament and I don't feel defiled. Matthew chapter 24, verses 37 to 39. This is the first observation / application. Matthew 24, verses 37 to 39, read this way. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. You circle later on like the days of Noah. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. So when you see drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage and eating, don't think that this is sinful all the time. Did you drink anything today? The answer to that question is yes. I'm not asking you if it was wine or booze. You drank something today. Did you eat? You ate something today. Do you have a brother or sister that will get married this coming summer? Yes, you do have one, or you had one last year, and so on. These expressions are normal life. So, observation number 1, the days of Noah, the concept that we draw from Genesis here, the days of Noah, will precede the rapture. The days of Noah preceded the flood. So before the flood, there was no judgment. People were eating, drinking, giving into marriage, and so on. So it was a normal lifestyle, and then suddenly a judgment. The rapture will be the same. That's why in Matthew, it says, like the days of Noah, meaning it will be ordinary. There is no sign given in advance for the coming of the rapture in the book of Revelation. The rapture is a signless event. It will happen. You buy a house, you go to Walmart, you do your grocery, you eat, you drink, normal life on the planet, then schlang. So the expression, the days of Noah, in the New Testament is comparable with Genesis, the pre-flood attitude of the planet before. For both times mean pre-flood and pre-rapture. It's a day-to-day activity characterize the time before the event. A day-to-day activity characterize the time before the events. What event, François? It was a normal lifestyle, sinful lifestyle, of course, pre-flood. And pre-rapture, it's going to be a plain giving in marriage, Christian school, a normal lifestyle. A day-to-day routine. It was in the time of Noah. And a day-to-day routine in the future will be pre-rapture. So once again, we have an example of the foundation of the book. Nobody warned the judgment. Noah, it was the only one, a preacher of righteousness, never saw rain and so on, characterized by faith, build the ark. They laughed at him, they went to Walmart. They give their daughter in marriage, and all of a sudden, shabang. Do I live my life in the way that it's a normal life right now, being prepared for the rapture? Ask the question for yourself too. Do we live our lives as if there is a judgment around the corner? No. No. I have anything else to say. This is it. This is my point number one. Foundational. Do you remember when you taught Revelation, when you took Revelation with me? What did I say 10 times? Jokingly and sarcastically sometimes. You want to understand Rev? You need to study the 65 books that comes before it. Simple as this. Observation number 2. The Toldot of Noah is mentioned in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 17. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 17, that's the chapter of faith. Noah is mentioned. And it's about Noah's faith. He saw no rain, he built the ark. He saw no flood, he built the ark. He was an heir, H-E-I-R, but you don't pronounce the H. He was an heir of righteousness, which come by faith. For that, he was believing things that were not in his time tangible. When you see no rain and you build an ark to float, it necessitates a level of faith. And you cannot allegorize the ark. Us, because the kingdom of God is not established for 1,000 years yet, we get rid of it by allegorizing the text. You call it faith? Not me. Okay? That's the way we can imitate it. We cannot allegorize the things of the future because for us they are not tangible. We cannot be called a people of faith in that sense. The Messianic kingdom is allegorized because it doesn't make sense for Jesus to come back established in kingdom. It makes perfect sense, and you find most passages concerning this in the Old Testament. That's what we learn from the man of the Genesis chapter 9. Can we forgive him for getting drunk one night? He was still a righteous person. The third passage is 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 19 to 21. Difficult to explain, difficult to understand for those who never did the life of the Messiah from a Jewish perspective. I need to send you, I'm going to go to 1 Peter. Because 1 Peter relates to Noah. 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 19 to 21. 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 19 to 21. I cannot wait for everybody. If you're quick on the gun, you're already there. I am there right now with the paper Bible. 1 Peter chapter 3 verses 19 to 21. In which also he went and made proclamation to the spirits now in prison, who once were disobedient, when the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah, during the construction of the ark, in which a few, 8, that is 8 persons, were brought safely through the water. You don't want to hear verse 21. Verse 21, corresponding to that, what he just said about Noah, baptism now saves you, not the removal of the dirt from the flesh, but an appeal to God for a good conscience. Stop there. So baptism saves me. And people go all over the place. The men's breakfast is not finished. You have studied nothing. You're still arguing about that. Because it's not understood. First of all, 1 Peter is another messianic epistle. It's written to the Jews here. And what he gives using Noah, the analogy is that the ark saved Noah's family physically. The ark indeed saved the 8 people with many more animals. It saves them physically, not spiritually. On the same token, when you evangelize these guys here downtown New York, these guys here, if they don't get baptized by water, they still identify themselves with the law. But when you preach Christ to them, they become messianic. You tell them you need to be baptized now, which is an identification with Christ. When you get baptized in the water, it's a once and for all break from Judaism, the Mosaic Judaism. And that saves them physically, specifically before AD 70, the destruction of the temple. And 1 Peter was written in 63, 64, before the destruction of the temple. So when they get baptized in the pool or in the river and so on, it was an identification that they no longer related to Mosaic Judaism, and they fled to Pella, and not one Messianic believer people died in the Holocaust of AD 70. The Jewish frame of reference. No baptism saves. It saves them physically. Using the Ark of Noah with the 8 people, Noah was a believer before he entered the Ark. You don't have a reaction because it was the sermon of your last week. Of course. I waste my time here. 2 Peter 2:5. Number 4. 2 Peter 2:5. Number 4. I'm there, so I'm going to read it. 2 Peter 2:5 says this. Written to the Jews again. These are the 5 Messianic epistles. Do you know them? No, make a note. It's fun. Among the epistles of the New Testament, the letters and epistles are the same thing. You have 5 Messianic epistles. They are Hebrews, 1st and 2nd Peter, Jude. I have a blank. James. Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, it's written to the Hebrews, not Hebrews coffee, but Hebrews. 1st and 2nd Peter, Jude, and James. The recipient of these 5 epistles are Jewish people. You cannot say, oh, it does not relate to the Gentiles, because you have lessons to take from it. But if you don't understand the context of Hebrews, 1st and 2nd Peter, you can easily violate the context and come up with a message that is not proper. So keep that in mind. This is your 5, we call it Messianic epistles. And knowing the audience, you protect yourself from going to the 1 Peter, say, hey, baptism saved you, you need to be baptized because you're not completely saved. It's senseless because it's no longer salvation by faith through grace alone plus nothing. Perfect? There's nothing perfect except Christ. A good education in the Word, solidly based, make you unshakable and capable of sharing the gospel properly, with no addition and no subtraction to. It is crucial in our day and age. It is crucial in this time. You cannot wait. Your gospel sharing has to be sharp. Despite the fact that I am not an evangelist, I need to do the work of an evangelist, it has to be proper. No wishy-washy teaching, no butching. And it doesn't come overnight. It takes what you do right now, and I praise you. Hours with a French Canadian from nowhere with a thick accent. That's how we study the scriptures together and we get something out of it. No muffinology. Look at Randy, he has his coffee right now. Everything is okay. We study. You cannot abide with muffin. Here in Canada and North America, we're too much in food in the church. You cannot go a Sunday before cookies. Leave the cookies alone for 10 years. Eat them at home. First of all, you lose a little bit of weight, but we might learn something. We spend too much time with that kind of stuff, which is legitimate. But it's way easy to lose balance in food, to spend an hour to be, you call it the potluck, doing the potluck, and what's left for the Bible study, 15, 20 minutes, what can you learn? It's my introductory material. We live in an epoch where things have to change a little bit. And I am not sincere with you by 2 words, a little bit. I'm being kind right now. Things have to change. Forget the little bit. Need to refocus. It's a refocusing on the word in a time of preparation for a judgment to come. And now you are immovable because you know that the next judgment, which is not even the rapture at that point, the earth will never be dispensed of by means of water anymore. So you look at the rain, bring the flood type of thing, put some sandbag in the basement, but you know that you will not die in a flood. Although some people die in local floods. But flood is over. The rainbow. When he sees the rainbow, never flood the earth again. But that doesn't prevent, the rainbow will not prevent the rapture to occur and leaving people behind. They will have a chance to respond, but the cost will be absolutely tremendous. 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 5 reads this way, you also as living stones are being built upon a spiritual house for a holy priesthood. Holy priesthood, here's for the Jews, but in Revelation it counts for us also. We are a holy priesthood too, to offer spiritual sacrifice acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. That's a passage basically as an example that God knows how to deliver from judgment. And these guys right now in the 1 Peter will be delivered from which judgment? The judgment of AD 70 due to the unforgivable sin, the destruction of the city and the destruction of the temple. They will be spared because they will be baptized with water and they will flee to a city called Pella, and one of them. 1,100,000 died in the Holocaust, and not one soul of the Messianic Jewish believer at that time died. They fled to a city, Transjordan. Josephus, this first century historian.
Done?
Not right now, my love. Sophia said, are you done? Just 5 minutes, my love. Love you guys. What I just said at the end, the 4 observation, we gleaned that from Genesis. Because the promise that I said to you, it was not a promise, it was a statement. It's a foundational book. Need to learn these things. These things are coming. We live in a time where we should be thankful. Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob could not turn to the Bible. It was not written at that time. It was traditions orally passed. Us, we have this. And do you know what? When there is a conference, when they invite a false prophet, because they are all false, people have a little bit more attendance than Francois. Because they want new prophecy. No thank you, they will not get one. Because the canon of the scripture here has been closed. This is what God decided to give to his people. That's all. Now, there is a prophet that comes in town. Sure. Love you. One of you will pray after all. We did a very decent session. You know the way. I don't need to ask you for forgiveness for the excitement to pass it on. And I cannot pass it on with physical presence, so I get even more excited when I see the people that I love online like this. Your support of the ministry is imperative. I don't teach in December, but since it's a normal life, I think I'm going to drink and eat. Not given marriage, not yet. Maybe in 10 years anyway. I do my living. This is what I do for a living. Teach the scriptures from the Sword Ministries and so on. Don't go right now. You need to count. Vicky, Rodney, Ray, Raphael, Mark, Janet and Andrew, Carl, Sylvie and Germaine and Francois. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 people. I need you folks. Somebody pray. We go home. We see each other on Tuesday, January the 6th. You will receive outlines. You will receive reminder for all of this. Lord's willing, I use that right now because it seems a bit far. But I don't know. The rapture can happen at any time. That would be nice not to finish Genesis, but if we have to, we need to be ready. So I commit to prepare during the time that I'll be off. Love you guys. Thank you. I don't open for question right now. You've been patient. I don't know the number of sessions we've done so far, and we're not halfway through the book. If we don't have time to finish it, so be it. But we strive to together, and I appreciate your commitment with us and with me personally also. Anyone on the screen, please finish with a word of prayer. We go home. I love you guys. Thank you.
For the prayer,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be here.
You want to pray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Heavenly Father,
No,
Okay.
no, you pray. You pray.
Randy.
thank you for
Randy's praying.
the ministry of TSM and the encouragement that you give Francois each week to help us do a deep dive into your delicious word. Lord, we thank you for this session that we've had. We ask blessing going into the December season, and we ask for safety for all here and those who couldn't make it, that we would be blessed over the holidays and giving you praise, and that we would return safely. Thank you for this time, Lord. Give you praise in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. Thank you, Randy. A word of wisdom, a word from Sophia. Sophia is the Greek word for wisdom. Sophia will bid you shalom. Say, I bid you shalom.
I bid you shalom.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bless you guys.
Yeah, oh, thank you, Mark. God bless you guys. I love you. Have a good time and keep focused. I love you guys. I'm looking forward to the coming year. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye. Love you.
Bye.
They're gone now. No, no, no.
You
It's no.
turn to go.
It's no.
Was I exceptional?
Eh?
Was I exceptional?
You were exceptional. You were good. Now that he's gone, he's done for this class.
And Mom's still not home?
No, mom would come around 8:30, 8:45. Now that he will
It's
sit.
because you finished early.
Yeah, I finished a tiny bit earlier tonight. Yeah, I didn't have much content. No, 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 no. Too hard, my love. No, it's no go.
Can I play on the trampoline a little bit?
Yeah.